what are my interests? Football, MMA, food. And I said, love a curry on a Saturday night, and that's just stuff.
You've gone viral because you've gone online with your chipper series, you've rated spicebag.
Even your first 1,000, it's the hardest.
Yeah.
Because you got to give people a reason from scratch. Like, why do I want to be interested in you? First 3 seconds of a video, very, very important.
Yeah.
When people hear that, they know what they're getting into. They tell you the risks you already know about, but you never really know until you take that chance on yourself. And what would have been worse, like me not taking that risk, or like staying still and years later keep turning down these opportunities, and you know, I remain in the same place.
Where in the country is the best spice bag in your opinion?
Oh, I have a favourite, and I've openly said this, and people have said, "Oh, Nasti, you've been paid. How much they pay you for this?" This place, you go into it. I've never even been in it. I've only ever got a delivery. I don't even really know where it is exactly. It is.
We're on. Deadly. Nasty.
How are things?
Thanks for coming.
What's the crack? Thank you for having me.
Second guest.
Yeah.
First creator on. Well, Jared is kind of a creator, I suppose.
He's tapping into the space.
He's tapping into the space, but first legitimate creator we've had on it.
I'll take that.
So episode 2. I think everyone knows the Nasty we see behind the camera, the food reviews, but I would like to go a bit further back and kind of get a little bit more of an in-depth into what you were doing before content. Yeah. So early life, you grew up in Raheny?
Yeah, all my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still there?
No, so I first time moving out with my girlfriend, moved into our apartment there in November. But yeah, all 24 years up to then was Raheny.
Northside, true.
Yeah. Now I'm city centre, you know.
And come here, so like I found this mad about you, but before you kind of started making videos full time for a living, you were doing a master's, right? You were UCD, was it?
Yeah, so I did my undergrad in journalism. That was in DCU. And then I went on and did my master's in digital marketing, and that was in UCD, yeah.
And come here, journalism, like what made you want to get into that? Or
like that was my dream from about 15, I'd say, to be like a sports journalist. And like ironically I have a sports podcast now. To be honest, like midway, it was a tricky one because loved that at the start, loved getting to know about the business, and a big thing I was looking forward to was like the hands-on with the work experience, the work placement. But I was in that dodgy year where halfway through my course was COVID.
Yeah.
So obviously doing the course remote, I kind of fell out of love with it a little bit, just because obviously that was taking away the opportunity to do the placement. And yeah, it just wasn't the same. Obviously I feel I'm probably not the only one who struggled to focus in that time period, whether it be work or studies or whatever. So yeah, I fell out of love with it a little bit. Just decided I enjoyed the more marketing side of things, which is, and I've seen more of a career in it as well, so that's why I went down that route. But yeah, I suppose all paths, you never know where they're going to lead you, and now I'm kind of in a space where I'm combining both.
Well, it's funny because like, you know, I have a friend who is in the journalism space, and like he's seeing a massive shift to like independent creators now as opposed to journalists. So it's funny that like, I suppose your initial path was you wanted to be kind of a more traditional journalist, but now like I think the way the world's going, like, you know, it's probably more creators that are getting invited to these sporting events to cover it.
Yeah, for sure. And then, you know, it's ironic because what I wanted to do was print, and I wanted to do print at a time where it was completely dying.
Yeah.
And I never seen myself in like the media or the social media side of it, to be specific. And yeah, I suppose that's where I'm at.
And come here, do you think the want to get into journalism, and particular like print, sport journalism, like you're a massive BOHS fan? Is it was it because you were such a BOHS fan that like that was your introduction into sport, or were you thinking of a broader kind of chasm when it comes to sport, or were you going to focus on football because you've such a passion for it? Like, yeah,
it was definitely going to be centralised around football. I don't know, I saw myself on like Sky Sports News or something like this. Like, you have to think, this is me growing up. I'm just watching like, you know, Soccer Saturday with like Jeff Stelling and stuff, and I'm like, that's gonna be me one day. just sitting on Sky Sports News, like watching one of the matches, tapping in with the scores or something like this. So, yeah, maybe that's in the future. Who knows? But
Well, it's funny, like the format for the Ground and Pound podcast is you guys watching live sport, and like that, Jeff Stelling and the boys, like that's what they did.
Yeah,
right?
it's a great point actually. Yeah, it's very similar. Definitely never thought. I mean, I was always into MMA, but I definitely been a lot more into it, I'd say, since around like 2019.
Yeah, okay,
Like
yeah.
I think everybody was into it when McGregor came on the scene in 2014, but it would have been kind of purely just for him. I remember there was when Brock Lesnar came back in 2016, I watched that fight because I was a big WWE fan.
Yeah.
And then Brock crossing over to fight in UFC, that caught my interest. But other than that, wouldn't have really known what was going on. But yeah, around 2019, I was just betting to it ever since.
Yeah.
And I'd nearly go as far as saying, like, I'm a bigger MMA fan than I am a football fan.
Yeah.
I really would say that, yeah.
I think like it's I think once you get invested in it, you know, you kind of, I'm a massive Liverpool fan, so you go through stages of almost falling in and out of love with football, because if your team, if they're doing crap, you stick by them, but like you're not as interested every week if you're going and watching your team get pumped or pummeled.
100%.
Whereas at least with UFC, I suppose you can have, you know, a number of fighters you're interested in, and you can still appreciate a good fight. If you're a fan of someone and they go and they get beat, but it's an unbelievable fight, like you're still coming away from that being like, that was unbelievable to watch.
100%. And I think it's also a combination of like football's every week, sometimes 2 times a week. So it's like you have more opportunities to see your team lose and get hurt, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas a fighter might only fight like once or twice a year.
Yeah.
So it's like, even though you might have a favourite fighter, the devotion isn't the same and the loyalty isn't the same. I don't think there's anybody that just likes one fighter.
Yeah.
They might have a favourite fighter, but they...
Or a fighter that got them into it, and then
but they'll definitely like multiple fighters. I know that's the case with myself. Like, I'm a big Colby Covington fan, and obviously his past couple of fights have been a tough time for him. But like, I still like and love multiple fighters. So it's like, it's not the be all and end all.
Yeah.
Whereas with football, it's like if United are going through a tough time, BOHS going through a tough time. Like, what do you do? You might have a fondness for other teams, but now like loyalty or devotion.
Yeah. You're not going to just switch allegiance.
It's just not one of those things.
And the idea with Ground and Pound podcast, I know I've spoken to you about this before, but you know, you kind of saw a niche there of like no one kind of this side of the Atlantic doing anything like this and streaming these live events and recording like reactions. I know like Joe Rogan used to do kind of watching live along to UFC
He still
events.
does. He still does, yeah.
No one here, and like I don't think anyone who's a creator is doing that, you know what I mean? Like you Darren Owen obviously have your own pages and your own content, but I think it was a smart move, the three of you coming together. You all have a passion for combat sport, and combining that with the live element of it, it's pretty compelling to watch. Like,
yeah, I'd like to think it's innovative, because obviously these days now everyone in the nanny is setting up podcasts, and like you see the memes, like 3-4 lads sitting in a room, let's start a podcast, that's a great idea. But yeah, I'd like to think this is something different, and to be honest, I don't even really label it as a podcast. I'd call it more like a watch along, or even at that, I mean, we've obviously done a lot of things and a lot of plans in the future to do some IRL stuff, go to live events and do some like just unique stuff. I mean, we have this upcoming series where like we'd like to take fighters that were fighting on a card and kind of plan their next matchups and where they go from there. And I just feel like that's not a lot of stuff you see. In general, there's not a lot of heavy coverage for MMA in Ireland. And I just absolutely, I love it. Like, I'd go to any MMA event, amateur, professional, and I'd just sit there and love the fights no matter who's fighting. So I just want to do as much for that sport as I possibly can.
And as you said, like it's the Ground and Pound podcast, but like you're open to where you go with that. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of things you can do with that. Like,
yeah, 100%. And I think it's a good blend. Like, obviously, I don't have a whole wealth of fighting experience myself, but through watching the UFC and MMA in general for a long time, the knowledge is there. Dara is a karate Irish champion.
Yeah.
Owen is big into training as MMA. He's been doing it since he was a child. So, you know, I feel like there's a very good balance there as well.
Yeah, deadly. And in terms then, like going back, I suppose, to that shift from like, wanting to do journalism, in particular print. I didn't know that. That's cool. But then obviously COVID happened and you got a bit disheartened with it. Like, where did the shift then happen from like wanting to do that to getting into marketing and then like getting into social media and creating videos? Like,
yeah, so I actually took a year out. So I graduated journalism and then I was just working. I worked night shift for like 4 years. I actually only stopped last year.
Is it security or?
Yeah, night shift security,
Yeah.
like just in a control room, pretty much.
Because I think the original videos I seen of you were probably in that control.
Eating on my night shift.
Yeah.
And so people love that series. Like, unfortunately, I don't think that's one that's going to come back anytime soon.
Hopefully not,
4 years, they took it out of me. But basically just a case of, so when I graduated journalism, I was working a night shift job. And I guess I just didn't really see a long-term career with it. So my other interest was marketing. I was like, I see so much potential there. And that was before I started social media. I had no idea that's what I wanted to do. I just pictured myself maybe working like a traditional marketing job or even getting into social media, working for a company or something like that. And I was balancing that with college. So I remember my first trimester of the Masters was crazy. So I'd go into work on Sunday night. I worked 7 to 7. So I'd go in on Sunday night, 7 p.m, finish at 7 a.m. And then I'd go into college for 9 a.m, finish at 5 p.m. and back into work for 7 p.m. And I'd do that straight Sunday to Wednesday. So I got home on Thursday and I'd just be fit for nothing. Like I literally was going like 72 hours without sleep for 8 weeks straight.
So do you think then the content at the start was obviously you were getting more into like the marketing side of it as you were doing your course and your masters, and then like there was kind of a boredom there because you needed to still obviously stay awake and entertain yourself with?
Because like it was my first trimester, so like obviously I had assignments, but like the bulk of studying wasn't crazy. So you just find yourself with like nothing to do. What do I do here? So at the time, how I started with social media was actually not even field reviews. It was BOHS. So I'd go to BOHS matches, just do a little match day vlog. Because I was kind of active on my personal Instagram, but kind of just for like friends and stuff. And I put up like one of those question stickers, and somebody seen that I put up on my story that I was at a Shells and Pats match. So I put up like a little vlog of that, just to like show people. I did a little voiceover, got like 18,000 views, and I was like, people actually like this League of Ireland stuff. And then when I went to the BOHS match the following week, I put another one up, put it on TikTok, got a crazy amount of views again. Like, well, not crazy to me now, but at the time, like considering no followers, a new TikTok account, it was like 25,000 views. And every Friday, I just kept chipping away doing them, always getting views. And then obviously the season ends in November, so I was like, kind of enjoying this, don't have anything to post. What are my interests? Football, MMA, field. So I just whacked up my curry on a Saturday night, one night, and I said, love a curry on a Saturday night, and that just stuck.
That's where the slogan came from. And it was a curry first, was it?
It was a curry. I think so. I could be wrong. There could be some.
But that was kind of the first
devoted follower that will pull me up on that. But I think it was. But
that was kind of the pinnacle, I suppose. That was the big moment where you were like, shit, there could be something in this in terms of like reviewing food.
That was the point where even though I kept the match day vlogs in the mix when the season restarted, the field completely overtook it. Completely overtook it.
Yeah, I think you like. I remember I would have started seeing your stuff probably towards the end of COVID, and I think like you were at the kind of crest of a wave of people who were doing these food reviews, and like in Ireland, you must have been the only kind of person at the time doing it.
I mean, there's obviously like a good few food creators, like Conor Ryan obviously is quite big, but I don't know. I definitely grew pretty quickly with it, because when I was doing the BOHS stuff, I was getting good views, but I wasn't really getting the followers. And for a long time, it was that. Like I was getting a lot of views very consistently, like 30 to 50k, but I just wasn't picking up any followers. And to get my first 10k followers was like harder than any amount. Like I even think from once I hit 10, I got to 100 very quickly. But the first 10k, and I always say that when people ask me like, about wanting to get into content creation, like even your first 1,000, it's the hardest.
Yeah.
Because you got to give people a reason from scratch, like why do I want to be interested in you? And then once they know, you can pick that up quite quickly because humans are very similar in similar ways. So like they like similar stuff. So if you can please one person, you can please 1,000 people who like the same thing.
Yeah. And I suppose once you have that 1,000 or the 10,000, that's the social proof for other people who come across your page to be like, well, like if 10,000 other people are following him, he must be putting. You don't need to kind of prove a point to that 10 to 100,000 people. That's probably why you saw the big jump there. But you're right, like it's like we're seeing it now with Helm and like trying to grow socials and a company from scratch. Like getting that kind of first 500, 1,000 followers is tough.
Always the toughest.
But you do feel like we have a super engaged audience. The people who are following us are interested in what we're doing.
Yeah, and that's more valuable.
Yeah.
I mean, you would much rather, in my opinion anyway, like even when I was saying at the start, I was getting good engagement with the BOHS vlogs, but not many followers. But for the followers I did have, they were all very active on my socials and very interested in what I was doing. And I think like to have your following saturated with people who actually care what you're doing is a very important thing.
Yeah, because I would say out of all the creators in Ireland, like you have the most like slogans and taglines that like if you when I'm walking around Cork with you, like people are shouting like, you know, love a curry on a Saturday night or scintillating, like it's like
all different things.
But I feel like that's a testament to the fact that you've built an audience that like, you know, are proper fans of you. And like, you know, I think it was obviously it shows you're very smart as well, because like, you know, you're saying the same things over and over again, and because you're saying it, people resonate with you and they remember you for those things.
Yeah, you're probably making me sound smarter than I am. I mean, being honest with you, none of that was deliberate. Love a curry on a Saturday. Now, don't get me wrong. When I opened up comment sections on multiple videos and kept saying love a curry on a Saturday night, I was like, right, I gotta milk this. I gotta like keep saying this, because obviously this is what's pulling people in. That's what works. But like, I didn't initially say it for it to stick, or even like, as you said, all the things people say to me, like scintillating, up the balls, love a curry on a Saturday night, absolute slobber knocker. Like none of these things were intended to stick. They just kind of did.
You'd kind of say something when you were doing a review, and then you'd see people like loving it, and then you were like, then you needed to jump on it, or like...
Yeah, big time. Yeah, like there was, definitely not deliberate. Like, but yeah, it just stuck. And I feel like there's obviously a lot of Irish creators now who have like their own slogans. Yeah. And it's a good thing to have, and especially like an intro and an outro. Yeah. Like even those two things I'm thankful to have, because they're very like, you know, you got to give people a reason to watch. So it's like they know straight away. First 3 seconds of a video, very, very important. And when people hear that, they know what they're getting into. Amazing.
And you said you only recently gave up the night shifts. Yeah. You won't be going back to them. But like, and I'm sure a lot of like aspiring creators out there, there's a very kind of like definitive moment where you have to decide like this is what you're going to do moving forward. And I suppose that you've had that moment where you were like, I'm going to stop the day job. Was it a case that like you started to make more money from content and you decided to give up the night shifts, or was it like you still weren't making as much money there, but you decided that this was your passion and this is what you were going to go in for?
Yeah, I definitely could have left my job at least a couple of months before I did, but I guess it's just the risk element, and I always had it in my head that I wasn't gonna leave full-time employment until it was actually holding me back from making money. So my full-time job got to a point where, you know, I might have had an opportunity where I'd be getting paid double or triple than what a night's work would have paid me. And I'd have to go in and do the night's work because I'd be rostered for it, and I'd have to miss out on an opportunity that would pay me more than my week's wage. Yeah. And it's like, once it got to that point, I just had to weigh it up. And once it was on a consistent basis, I was like, you know, it's just not worth it to do this anymore. Yeah. And it's a tricky one, because obviously you have like your family and friends who don't understand that side of it, and they tell you the risks you already know about, but you never really know until you take that chance on yourself. And what would have been worse, like me not taking that risk, or like staying still and years later keep turning down these opportunities, and you know, I remain in the same place. So even if, you know, things hadn't have worked out and I would have failed and had to go back to the job, at least I would have known I tried.
Yeah, and it's like you kind of knew by that point that like marketing was something you were quite passionate about, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I suppose, I'm sure there's a lot of people who try and become a creator, learn a lot of skill sets that are applicable to marketing anyway, and can fall back on that if they need to.
Yeah.
Like obviously you've done amazing, and like, you know, you're so well known in Ireland and you've turned it into a career, but like, I suppose as you're saying, it shouldn't really stop you from taking that chance and that opportunity. If you're, you know, if you're scared about it, if you have a passion for it, and you could obviously see some level of momentum, right?
Yeah.
And it's worked out for you. So congrats.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I mean, I think no matter what walk of life you're on, you know, nothing changes if you don't take risks.
Yeah.
There has to be risk involved. Like if you're not risking anything, you're not trying enough. And fair enough, like I guess some people they're happy in the same place, and that's fine too. But I just think, man, you have this opportunity and you only have one. Why not take it?
Yeah, and risk is it's a good topic for what I'm going to talk about next, because like where I properly started taking interest in you is when like I saw you like the face of Abracadabra. I think you were in O'Brien's. You were like, was it Gourmet?
Yeah, GBK.
And like I think personally, like you were one of the first, especially TikTok creators, to like really tie themselves to like brick and mortar businesses and like be the face of campaigns. I think I've heard this story before, but I think the audience will really like it in terms of like how that initial Abracadabra campaign, because I think, didn't you pitch them something crazy or have to go into a board meeting or?
Yeah, so like as I am now, I was fully independent then. And so they're under the one umbrella, them three, GBK, O'Brien's and Abracadabra.
They're under the Abracadabra umbrella, right? Yeah.
It's AIL Group
is
the owner, and they also have the Bagel Factory. They're great guys, really great guys, to be honest. Not a bad word to say about them. And yeah, I just had this idea that I wanted to do a Nasti burger.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like this is a really marketable thing for me to get my faces in well-known businesses. And, you know, for them, like, I guess I was at a point where I was starting to pop off a bit. I was trending. It might be a mutual agreement. So I done up a PDF document myself. I pitched it out to, like, multiple places. I had no choice but to take
When you say pitch, were you just emailing it to them, or?
Like, I was messaging places to ask for their email, tell them that I had like
an idea
that I think could be mutually beneficial. I'd get their email, I'd email it to them. Got a lot of airballs, got a lot of no's, but thick skin, I was able to take them, and GBK took a chance on me. Had to go into, you know, several meetings in front of board executives, 7 of them just like me on my own, no experience with this type of thing whatsoever, but you know, I was able to sweet talk them and kind of get into something, and it really worked out. I mean, the Nasti burger was a big thing, and that's why they decided to do the Abracadabra, which was even bigger, and then the O'Brien's won the Nasti sandwich as well. So yeah, really pleasurable experience working with those guys.
Yeah, and like you have to say fair play to them, because like not a lot of established companies probably are willing to take that. It's not a risk, but it's an unknown territory for a lot of these companies. You know, working with someone who's, you know, an up-and-coming star on TikTok. Like, it's like, I'm not surprised you got a lot of no's, because I'd say a lot of these executives see that and they don't know what to make of it. So,
like, I 100% understand why I got no's. To be honest, you know, if I was in their shoes, I would have been very skeptical looking at it, because, like, you know, you're looking at me, for example, who makes videos, but, you know, do I know that side of the business? How am I going to fare when I have a product to sell?
Yeah.
I'm unpredictable. They don't know that much about me. Like, it's a huge risk. Of course it is. But, you know, they took a chance, and fair play to them.
And is it something you would want to do more of in the future? Or?
Do you know, I kind of... It gets to a point where you're like, this is something I'd love to do for myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I'm really looking at right now. And I'm not giving away too many spoilers, but there's something in the works, and I'm really excited about it, and it's bigger than anything I've ever done.
Deadly. And I think like that's one thing I have to admire about you, is like when we chat, it's like, you know, you could sit on your laurels and be comfortable, you know, posting your TikToks and growing and getting the odd brand deal, but you have a business head on your shoulders, and I think like you have a lot of cool aspirations. I won't go into a lot of them on here because I won't spoil anything, but like I don't know if that came from your college degree, or where that came from? The fact that, like, you know, you want to do a load of things, and you want to go down, and you're willing to try a lot of things.
Yeah.
So, like, like, if in 10 years, do you see yourself still creating videos? Is that going to be like the main hub, and you'll kind of hopefully start businesses off that, or where would you see yourself?
I've tapped into this trading space, which has really, blossomed for me and worked out really well, and it's become my primary source of income. So what I think is great about that, besides the financial aspect, it's allowed me to have more fun with my content.
Yeah.
And even though, yes, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, I'd love to be still making videos, but I mean, we've seen with the Americans potentially taking away TikTok, how quick it can go like that. So my goal, and I suppose the reason I tapped more into trading, is because, I don't want to be in that position. I don't want to be vulnerable. I want to keep having fun with videos, and I don't have to be like 40 or 50 years of age feeling like I got to get millions of views on social media.
Yeah.
Obviously, it'd be lovely to be able to do that, but I want to be like so secure that doesn't even matter, that I can just have fun with it.
Yeah.
And that's my goal down the line. I want to have like enough business working for me that I can just continue to have fun with content, because I got into it to have fun.
Yeah.
So I want it to stay that way.
And I think, like, if you have the shackles off and you're not relying on your content to be producing constantly for you, I feel like you're being, not that you're not natural with your content, but you can do whatever you want with your content then. And I think, like, that's going to make you grow more than anything, right? You see a lot of people, and they like completely saturate their content with branded stuff and ads, and they kind of not sell out because you have to make a living from it, right? But it's like, you're smart in the sense that, like, all of these other businesses that are outside of your content can support you, and it lets you just, be yourself and have fun with the content moving forward.
Absolutely, yeah. And I never blame people for doing ads. I mean, as you referred to there, like, people got to make a living.
Yeah.
But, it does get to a point, and you can very, very clearly see it when an influencer or a creator in general is just oversaturating the feed. And that's something I was always cautious of. I've always done ads. I still do ads.
Yeah.
Of course I do. But I'm always conscious, like, at the very most, I want like 1 in 10 videos to be an ad. You'll never see me posting even 2 ads a week. So I'm very conscious of that, and I think it's important to be.
Yeah. And then in terms of, like, what's next for you outside of the content and outside of, the business endeavors, anything else on the horizon, anything we can kind of look out for over the next couple of months or years? Or
Absolutely. I mean, there's plenty of things. 2 very concrete ones as of now. One, the public will be known about in the next week.
Amazing.
I can confirm next week they will know about, or by the time this is out, maybe they already know about it. But the other one, I'd imagine around summertime.
Amazing.
I'm super excited about both of them, but I guarantee it's gonna shock the country, and I'm really, really excited for it. As I said, bigger than anything I've ever done before, and I just can't wait.
It's not the first time you shocked the country anyway, so I'm excited about it.
Thank you.
And we won't keep you too much longer. So last one, and I'm sure it's on the lips of everyone listening to this. You're famous for your spice bags. Where in the country is the best spice bag in your opinion? Or do you have a favourite?
Oh, I have a favourite, and I've openly said this, and people have said, "Oh, Nasti, you've been paid. How much they pay you for this?" This place, you go into it. I've never even been in it. I've only ever got a delivery. I don't even really know where it is exactly. It is Golden City in Edenmore. They've 2 of them, one in Darndale. I think they're same ownership, but I think that the Edenmore one is slightly better. So I would say, officially certified #1 best spice bag in Ireland, Golden City in Edenmore.
Amazing.
They put little spring rolls in the spice bag with the spice bag season. It's just getting me excited now.
And do they have social media or
No,
nothing?
Nothing.
That's why they're the best, is it? Like, just concentrating on getting it right.
The only thing they're missing is cash only.
Well, look, man, it's always a pleasure chatting to you, and thanks a million for coming on this. And we'll keep our ears open to those 2 announcements. I'd say one of them, by the time this goes live, people will know about.
Will have already been
so,
out. Yeah.
Congrats for that future announcement. But I'm really excited to see what's come for you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me,
Man.
Pleasure. Up the balls.
The BOHS, come on.